Hello, this is quite overdue. Been wanting to start this channel for quite a while, since the start of last year. Start of last year, end of last year, start of this year. Just to literally document my journey through racing. It's taken a steady climb up. We've progressed. Yeah, just been trying to really get down to the point where I can put a recording together, or put some sort of montage together that looks good enough to be in a bit of a YouTube video or a short clip or something. If you don't know me, I'm Andre. I'm a Portuguese racing driver, as you can see behind me. I race in Portugal, in England. We are going to be racing in the States next year for 2023. That's exciting. That's a big step up for me. This is going to be literally a first video ever, I think. So quite boring, quite new. This is literally me sat down. I always found myself, when I was very young, always looking for that video of professional drivers. What do they do throughout their day? What is their routine? To try and gauge of what I should be doing, what I should not be doing. And all I could really find was F1 drivers. F1 was all the videos, which is fine if you are going down the route of Formula One. But for me, going down America, it's more IndyCar and stuff like that. It's different, if you know what I mean. So in terms of that, our days are very different now that I've now had the experience of what it is like to race for again. We've just finished the karting season about a month ago. I'm not going to be doing a specific what do I do in the day on season. It's off season. This is what I think, what I as a driver do myself, with my team who I train with, and I'm just going to run through that. I've always found there's that I was always looking for that video or even that blog or something about information of what drivers do in the off season, because you always see them during the season on camera doing everything, but you never see what's behind the scenes. And I think that's what really lacks in YouTube anywhere, really. You just don't have that information, and gap in the market, might as well do it. Right, let's just stop talking. Well, keep talking, but move on. Right, I've just finished the 2022 season of karting. How can we put this? Up and down. It's been a tough year. This is realistic. It's sometimes you see a lot of videos online, and it's all the good things. Like, as much as on my Instagram, as much as I post my achievements, there are some posts that are not great. You got the downsides or whatever. It's that bit is tough when you've got the downsides, and when you've picked up something, or you've had some sort of issue throughout the season. It's not the greatest to post, because you don't want to look in that. You don't want to look like you've had that bad spotlight on you, or you don't want to look like you haven't succeeded or as such. But no, it's been up and down. I'll run you through what happened. So first race of the season, it was in, if I'm gonna say names here, but I don't think many of you know what the tracks are. It is Leiria. It's a track in Portugal. It's pretty small. It's a good circuit. It's quite old. We raced there. I unfortunately had, during testing at the start of the season, we had some sort of issue of an injury. So I was driving midway through a session, and I felt a snap not a snap, but a twinge in my arm. And at that point, I thought everything was okay. I stretched it out, everything was fine. Later on, knowing and then going to the doctor, finding out X-ray, I found out that I snapped my tendon on my left arm. So that was how would you put it? That was eye-opening, really eye-opening. To see that, that was it basically. I thought that was it, because as soon as you snap a tendon, you don't have the strength. And I snapped the tendon pre-season. After pre-season, I came back, and Ledia, race 1. I felt good, but it wasn't. We ended up not dead last, to be honest, which was a miracle, really. We ended up mid-pack. We qualified mid-pack. I tried to hold on. By race 3, it was pretty much gone. We ended up tangling with a person, just hit me up the rear, spun me around, and I was dead last at that point. We tried to recover, but I was not there physically. And that's where where kind of the ups and downs of the season was. We then ended up missing 3 races. 3 races of competition that we really needed to be in, because my driving wise, we were fine. We were really good. We were constantly making progress. It was just the physicality wasn't there. And I thought I was physically fit to do that, which I wasn't. And I'll get onto that in a minute, but that's the real fine point of, as a driver, you really have to be physically fit. I know a lot of people say it, and I thought I was, but I wasn't. I wasn't physically fit enough to do it. That's the main point that I'm trying to make here. Is even if you see these drivers that are off season or whatever, they're constantly training. That's the big thing, because after that we had 4 months off, so we missed 3 races. We ended up going back to the final race in Portimão, the big track, the big track of the grand finals. It was all good. A weekend was good. We were qualifying good. And then downpour hit. Quite a long rain shower, and heavy, which put us on the back foot because of setup changes. We had made setup changes for the dry. Then came the rain, and we didn't have enough time. Nobody really had enough time, but some people did get their setups like half changed, which aided them. We had a full dry setup on a wet track, which seems okay, but it really isn't. For people who don't really know, it really doesn't help you, because in the wet you need as much downforce, or you need the rear to be softer. You need a lot of things go into it, and we just didn't have the setup. We ended up, to be honest, again qualifying unexpectedly higher than I thought, because I thought I was driving like absolute rubbish, but we ended up getting there. Race 1, we moved up like 8-9 positions, which was good. We had that progression. It was still a bit damp. Ended up getting a bumper penalty. It is what it is. That 5 seconds brought me back another 2 positions. Second race, I had contact with a teammate. He tried to overtake me, wasn't quick enough, found himself now in a corner, and then steered into me. Ended up finishing the race. I went off track. Everything was still good. I found that, let's just continue. Let's finish the race, and we did. And then race 3, we had a massive incident, proper incident. It was car coming back across the track. I tried to move to the inside, but he just braked right in the middle of the track, and I ended up hitting him. Chassis bent, everything bent. Engine's all good, to be honest. So it was just chassis damage, but that was the big hit. And then after that, the season ended. You know, I've said a lot of negative or downside stuff in it, but you know, I want to be realistic here. It is what it is. The good stuff is we're constantly quicker. We're constantly getting quicker. We're constantly making progress. I'm quicker than most people who have been in this series for quite a while. Unfortunately, due to injury, then that sets you back even more. But this is where I stop jabbering on about the season and I go into off-season. Now, the people that you train with, the people that have your back in racing are very important. It's a do or die business. It really is. As you've seen in the thumbnail, I train with King of the World Frontiers. They're a company who every single sport, maybe not every single sport, but most of the sports, they're long distance running, cycling, and they're driver specific. So as a racing driver, you really need the help from a person who has that knowledge, who works with other drivers. So coming from a company who works with the likes of Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, is currently working with Formula E drivers, is currently working with Super Trofeo drivers, is currently working with previous karters as well, like myself, who's moving up now to a different category. It's a whole different thing. And what I'll go by is definitely if you are starting off, it's very expensive, but it doesn't, it really, it's money spent well, because you're going into a season physically prepared, or you're going into whatever you're going to do in terms of racing, whatever series, whatever category, prepared. And that's what you need to be. That's what I got wrong. That's what I thought. I was like, no, it's fine. I'll work out by myself a day or two per week. And no, that wasn't enough. They're a really good company. I'll leave a link down below. They're an amazing company. They really are. After that, there's not much. I'll consist of, let's take a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, working out. It's mainly for the series we do. So the Road to IndyCar, it's more physical. There's no power steering. The cars are heavier. The cars are also quicker. So it's a lot of upper body. It's a lot of core. It's a lot of neck. And that consists of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We just split that up. Then Sunday, you call it a rest day. In between those days, so maybe Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, we usually do cardio. And that's long cardio, so we do 10 kilometers. And then the days that we don't do the long cardio, we do short cardio, which is bursts of sprints, trying to get that heart rate going, a really high heart rate, and seeing how you perform really. After that, it's really just, you know, as a driver myself, I hate being in the off season. I hate being not in a car, feeling G-force and feeling speed, which is, it's tough. So the gym, I love the gym. Love to go to the gym. That keeps me a bit sane. That keeps me my head screwed on. And as well, like, get your diet down. As a young driver, it's easy to you know, eat loads of rubbish. And I'm not saying like, oh, if you're eating rubbish once in 3 weeks, it's not going to do you harm. But you should really stick to, one, I don't drink any fizzy drinks, any sort of like bad juices. It's water or any natural stuff, protein shakes, anything that aids you. Again, a lot of multivitamins, a lot of cod liver oils, just a lot of stuff. You, as a racing driver, you can't really be sick, so it's tough to. If you're sick or if you're injured, it really takes away from your season. That's the tough point. As a diet, it's driver based. What you need, what your body really needs, is what you need to eat. Basically, I can't really survive without a lot of protein. I'm a lot of protein guy, minimal carbs. That's how I work. I usually a lot of meat, not red meat, not bad meat, like plain chicken, rice, those types of examples. It's plain stuff. It's not that fatty meat, the red meat. It's clean stuff, and that's how you have to go about it. And the last thing is, really, as an off season, you have a lot of time, which is filled up with training, which is filled up if you're trying to get sponsors, going there, talking to people. You are filled up. You have a team behind you, of course. If you don't, you're doing it by yourself, which is what I'm kind of doing. I've got half. I've got my manager dealing with other stuff. I've got me dealing with other stuff. It's actually a good way. I don't like to just sit back and let people do it, because if I'm doing it, at least I have a bit of control. Like I'm driving, I've got control. And then, yeah, the rest of the time is, if you don't, I would suggest picking it up. It's not very realistic, but it's a sim rig. It's baseline entry simulator. It aids, it really does, not in terms of driving, not in terms of, you can get these 1,000, 100,000 simulators, but what people say, if it's realistic, it really isn't. Compared to real life, it really isn't. I would suggest pick up steering wheel, pedals, forget the gear shift, the stick shift, steering wheel, pedals, clamp it to a desk if you don't have a chair, pick up a chair if you can, pick up a rig. It doesn't have to be that expensive, and it really does aid in, I always use it for reaction times. Not in terms of catching something or those type of reaction times, but reaction times to lights, reaction times to other cars. It keeps you focused on the sim rig. You can work on a lot of stuff. You can work on, I always do new vehicles or newer something I haven't done, so I can keep my head in the process, the progress of, right, I need to try and build the speed, build the consistency in a newer machinery. So my head's always focused on trying to find tenths, all that work that goes into it. That's what sim's good for. I'm not gonna be on here saying, oh, it's really realistic. It really isn't. It can be, but unless you've got a motion rig, which is, again, only, like, I would say 75% realistic, it's not realistic. I'm telling you, it really isn't. I was one of the people, it's really realistic. I was telling my manager, telling my dad, yeah, this is going to be completely realistic. Nope. It is far from what real life is, which is good in a kind of way, because, as a real life racing driver, which I'm very thankful for and I'm grateful that I can be doing, it's kind of like a thing. Like, you hear people on the simulators or whatever say this is realistic, you can drive a certain way. It really is real life that brings it into perspective. And it's a whole nother game when you talk about real life racing and simulator racing. So, but that's it. That's an off season. Maybe it's not your off season. Maybe it's not other people's off season that you've seen. That's my off season. It's not very flamboyant. I'm here to race. I'm not here to do anything else. Training, simulator work, diet, and really just focusing on what your next goal is. So you train for that, and that's it. That's an off season as a racing driver. It's not that flamboyant, as I've said. It's it's great for me. I've always liked it. So yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave all my socials down below. Feel free to check me out. If you do, if you don't, whatever. It is your decision. And yeah, I'm gonna be posting on here. You know, I wanna start getting more eyes on YouTube. I guess I found that I can create a bit of a space where you know, I have that time and I have that place where I can show you what really is going on behind the scenes. Not behind the scenes, but you know what I mean, traveling to races, all that stuff. Like, some people don't know what you need to, other ideas. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be posting on here quite regularly, I think, if I have the time, or if, you know, things go the way they need to go. Yeah, we'll be vlogging, and not vlogging, but I'll montages of what I do and what goes on throughout the season, the next season, 2023 season. It might be a hectic season, it might not be. We'd never know as drivers, unless you have that financial security, that security, not financial security, but that security. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, feel free to check me out. Subscribe if you want, subscribe if you don't. You know, it doesn't help out yet because, you know, no one's on here, but yeah, I'll keep you up to date of what the hell I'm doing. See ya.